ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie the Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so we're back for another round of the best comics this week, and let's get right into it. First and foremost is going to be Power Rangers Prime number 5. I'm going to go into it right now. This series is, if you've not been keeping up with Power Rangers over at Boom Studios, this series is basically a complete and total reboot, relaunch, all of that, and also at the same time not. It's basically focused on a whole new cast of characters for the most part. The Power Rangers, as you know them, they are not a thing. But at the same time, we have also seen the return of the VR Troopers, a team that, while I know I can get stun locked when talking about my, probably what is easily one of my favorite topics and hobbies ever, tokusatsu, I'm not gonna do it here. I'm gonna spare you that, but I'll just basically say this. I don't have as much nostalgia for VR Troopers as probably the next person has. However, VR Troopers is one of the few tokusatsu reboot properties. For those who know, VR Troopers basically is a mismatch of like 3 completely different TV shows to make one TV show. Technically like 4 if you really want to get technical about it, but that's neither here nor there. Point of the matter is, I actually is one of the few instances where you'll hear me say I like VR Troopers, or like the thing that a show of tokusatsu roots is derived from, better than the thing it actually originally was. That said, the VR Troopers are back. We're getting to finally see what is effectively a crossover, the first ever crossover between the Power Rangers and the VR Troopers, albeit not in the way I think a lot of people are probably going to expect. And it's not going to be the original Power Rangers. It's going to be this new crop of Power Rangers now being mentored by none other than Rita Repulsa. That's right, you heard me correctly. Rita Repulsa. There's a all new, all different Rita Repulsa right now. And yeah, she is yeah, she's something. Next up on the list is gonna be Black Canary Best of the Best number 5. Your boy Tom King is gonna wind up on this list a couple of times. I'm just going to say it right now. Spoiler alert for the list. This book has been fantastic. For those who have not been keeping up with this, Black Canary Best of the Best is basically a love letter to Black Canary and Black Canary fans. There's a lot of, as you go past the 4 previous issues, there's a lot of back and forth, kind of digging into the history of not just the current Black Canary, but the original Black Canary, Dinah Drake. Not only that, but also pitting Black Canary against what is effectively her arch rival, and that's Lady Shiva. And the way this is all written, and I almost wonder if Tom King did this on purpose, it almost feels less like a kickboxer style or like Kumite style match, but more almost like a wrestling match, like an actual like WWE AEW style wrestling match, but also at the same time not, but like one that's like actually played for serious. This fight has literally stretched over 5 issues, and it ain't done yet. There's still more. There's still more fight left in both Lady Shiva and Black Canary, though both of them have reached that point where it's like the point in the wrestling match where the 2 wrestlers have fought their hardest. They have beat each other from pillar to post, and now they're both laid out in the middle of the ring, and the ref, though in this case I don't think the ref is actually counting, but in this, from a metaphorical standpoint, the referee is in the middle of the ring. He's counting 1, 2, 3, like he's basically he's getting ready to count both of them out, but we know that that's not going to be the case. There's still 1 more issue left, and I love how far this is going because Lady Shiva is taking this to a very personal place, and this book is also kind of delving into like a mystery about the original Black Canary that I don't feel like has ever actually been solved. The mystery of how Dinah Drake died. Like, I know it's one of those things that's always kind of been up in the air. There's New Earth continuity, Prime Earth continuity, and I could be wrong. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like how the original Black Canary died has just kind of been like, who knows? And I feel like maybe Tom King is going to address that here. We'll have to wait and see. All right, so now that we got that away, we're going to get to what is I'm not gonna lie, this is actually my favorite segment of the show. I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually quite happy with this segment of the show. And we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it, and that's the fuck shit of the week. Now, this one, man, and I don't know, when I actually originally put this together, I wondered, man, how was I gonna sustain this? Like, is there always this much crazy stuff going on in comics? Well, guess what? Apparently the comics industry is a gift that just keeps on giving. But for those who are unfamiliar, they just recently had the announcement, the Absolute Universe's version of Bane was let out into the ether. Nick Dragata's design for the character is now out there in the wind. Everybody can see it. It's no longer a secret. And I'm not gonna lie, the design itself, I don't have a problem with the design because, for one, Nick Dragata has a very like stylized way of drawing things. And it's just what it is. You either like it or you don't. And I forgive anyone if you don't think that Nick Dragata is a great artist. That's on you, not on me. Hey, it's whatever. Art is subjective. However, the original co-creator of Bane, Graham Nolan, the artist behind Bane, seemed to have a problem with it, though he seemed to mostly focus on the head of Bane in this. I guess he must have posted this like on Twitter or something, but basically he says, as the designer slash co-creator of Bane, this is a terrible abomination. Is it the head? We can start there. Of course, many have and done excellent interpretations. This is not one of them. Now, to be fair, Graham Nolan has been hypercritical in the past of any time that Bane has been put into a new or different, media, how the character is adapted, what they look like, whatever. I mean, that's all well and good. I don't care about any of that. What I actually just find interesting is that this version of Bane does not really look that much different than the Bane that Graham originally came up with. Now, I can go into right now, this is probably largely a grift for those who are unfamiliar. Graham Nolan, kind of similar to his cohort Chuck Dixon, they're both major league like MAGA Republicans, and they kind of fall into that same grifter sphere as you would typically expect of people who are part of that movement. He's a guy who kind of likes to put out outrage, faux outrage, to get clicks and drive traffic, and that's just what he does. Like, honestly, I just think this one was incredibly lazy, considering that, like, if there's any one thing, like I feel like the one thing that he could have criticized about Nick Dragata's design, like, this is the one thing he could have criticized. I feel like that his head is the least interesting thing about this design. It's the fact this motherfucker got pistols on his head. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably sitting here thinking, oh, Blerd, why are you so mad about pistols? Pistols ain't that big a deal. No, my issue is that, how the hell is he gonna shoot him? Look at his hands. His fingers are the size of bowling balls. He's not putting his finger in the blicky like that. The reason why I even put this in the segment is because I feel like this is just Graham reaching, trying to like drive attention to whatever bullshit he's trying to do now, which, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if he actually even still does anything. Like, I don't ever hear anyone checking for Graham Nolan. Like, and the only reason I think people are even talking about him right now is because he was very vocal about an absolute Batman title that everyone seems to universally love. Unless you're one of those fake comic fans who likes to pretend that they're a comic fan for clicks. Anyway, that's fuck shit. Now, to get us back on track, we're gonna talk about a title that is a brand new #1 that I honestly wasn't expecting to be talking about. Actually, this was not on my radar by any stretch of the imagination, and it is far down below #1. This is a title that wears a lot of hats. It's a little Stephen King, it's a little Eldritch horror, it's also a little bit of Goonies, kind of in there, like, just so much in the sense that, a lot of the story is told from the perspective of two kids in 1983 who unwittingly find themselves on a quest for adventure, when children live in what you assume to be a one-horse town. They never really tell us exactly where the story takes place, but it's in somewhere in and around or near East Pennsylvania, but it's not a named town, so you just assume it's like a one-horse town. There's nothing to do, and these kids are literally playing in the house to the tune of Star Wars, like they're trying to play like very Star Wars style shenanigans. The year is 1983, so Return of the Jedi is fresh in everyone's heads, most likely. They probably just came from seeing it, and that's what they're doing. But it's raining, and as kids are wont to do, they want to get into something, and they wind up stumbling into a mystery, one that has its roots in effectively some sort of subterranean horror, possibly supernatural, possibly eldritch in nature, maybe even scientific nature. It's difficult to say at this point, but they wind up going to a house that is effectively rumored to be haunted, and wind up biting off way more than they bargained for. Next up is going to be Wonder Woman number 19. I already told y'all Tom King was going to show up on this list, not once, but twice, and this is the second time, and Tom King does not disappoint. While this is the end of the Fury story arc, it is not the end of Tom King's run on Wonder Woman. If anything, Tom has left us with, I won't say more questions than answers, but definitely with one really big question, and definitely quite a few answers that kind of match up in the epicness of the new question. Now, all that being said, what Wonder Woman has been up against with the Sovereign has been of biblical proportions. The Sovereign has pushed Wonder Woman, I won't even say to her limit, because I feel like while yes, the Sovereign has been an effective villain, in this particular instance, you get to see the Sovereign for who he truly is. We've seen the Sovereign lord over his power and his, self perception that he is the end-all be-all, thinking that he's able to defeat Wonder Woman. But we know at the end of the day, he's not able to defeat Wonder Woman, at least not in any way that's meaningful, and he knows it. And his narration, he has been the series narrator since issue 1, and we know that he knows he can't beat Wonder Woman. There's also a vibe that he's the cat who ate the canary, and we know that Wonder Woman is not around in the present day, so something clearly happened to her. And in this issue, we get to learn a little bit more about what that was. The whole time, Wonder Woman's daughter Trinity has been trying to get the truth out of the Sovereign about her mother, and now we know what that is, and she ain't happy about it. At the end of the day, Wonder Woman, we saw in the previous issue, pulled up on the White House and didn't even necessarily have to run fades on anybody. She literally still had goons out there in the streets like Cheetah holding it down for her against Grail. But it's when she gets to the Sovereign that we get to see exactly how weak the Sovereign actually is. But in his defeat, a whole new problem has propped up. And it's the reveal that Tom King has been holding like the ace of spades this whole time. I would forgive anyone for forgetting about Emily, the character that was introduced in Tom King's first issue of Wonder Woman. And it's here where she is reinserted back into the narrative, and the reveal is made that, and this is something I would also forgive anyone for not remembering, is that many issues ago, like very early in the Tom King run, we learned that Emily was pregnant. Now, initially, I thought, as I think a lot of other people did, that the child in question was Trinity, and the overall story was going to be about how Wonder Woman wound up being the adopted mother of Trinity. But we know that's not the case, because as we saw just a few issues ago, Wonder Woman gave birth to Trinity, albeit in the same fashion that she was given birth to, being forged from clay. So who was Emily pregnant with? That is the new question. A character by the name of Lysa, a child who, just like Trinity, is gonna grow up to be a whole problem. Okay, so this is the part of the show where I like to get into my indie comics bag, and that is why we always call this the Indie Comics Corner. Now, I actually had the pleasure just very recently, I don't know if you missed it, but I'll try to remember to put a link up here somewhere to it in case you want to go check it out. I recently had the pleasure of having a chit chat with Hollywood writer and actor, as well as comic scribe, James III. And some of you may already know who he is. He is responsible for the creation of the Netflix series Astronomy Club. He has also written for movies like Good Burger 2. He has also written for the more recent editions of all that, as well as the Fairly Odd Parents A New Wish. But he has a new comic on Kickstarter right now that I think a lot of people are going to find really interesting, and it's called Junior. The first issue of it is already out, but right now he is kickstarting the third issue. You can actually pick up the first, second, and third issue through the Kickstarter, which is what I backed the project for. And it's a great story about fatherhood and the familial bonds between a father and a son, and also at the same time kind of focusing on what happens when a man who's never met his father suddenly has an accidental death and ends up going into what is effectively a Beetlejuice style afterlife. And in that afterlife, the person who's going to introduce him to this new world, the hereafter, and get him acclimated to it is the one person he least expect, his own father. Hence the title, Junior. If it sounds like something you'd be interested in, I actually have links down in the description below. I'll probably have one in the pinned comment below. Go check it out. There's like a few days left on the Kickstarter, I believe. I don't remember exactly the time of this recording, but go check it out if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. It's a really cool story. I dig it a lot. And hey, let me know what you guys think about it. Now we're gonna get to our final issue. And I probably should have said this earlier, but there's more than one Wonder Woman title on the best comics this week. That's going to be Absolute Wonder Woman number 6. This issue, I'm going to tell you right now, I actually didn't look at any of the solicits ahead of time, but I will definitely say I was very pleased when I picked this title up and I saw who was actually on it. And what I mean by that is, for one, Kelly Thompson has already been writing Wonder Woman, and she's been doing a bang-up job doing it. Honestly, Tom King's Wonder Woman, I think, is some of the best Wonder Woman you're going to read right now, but Kelly Thompson is also delivering some of the best Wonder Woman you're going to read right now. And now she is joined by a new artist for this issue. I don't know if this is going to be for the entire arc or if it's going to be going forward, whatever, but Kelly Thompson has been reunited with Mattia de Ulis, who was the artist for one of her other awesome books that came out last year, The Cull. Kelly and Mattia are literally a match made in heaven when it comes to storytelling. I actually highly recommend, if you have never read The Cull, it is definitely worth your time. But in this story, we're following up the mysterious disappearing of Wonder Woman from the prime material plane into wherever it was that she went to, and she finds herself in this particular issue trapped in the underworld, face to face with Hades. And I actually like how Hades is depicted here. Hades is also kind of treated with a little bit of levity that I think was kind of needed for this series, considering that, the Absolute Universe is supposed to be so grimdark, but in this particular instance, while yes, Hades is played as a menace, he's also played as a menace who is aware of pop culture. So I thought it was pretty cool. It's kind of like a nice little way to have your Hades from like Disney's Hercules, but also have something that is a little more akin to what people might expect. But in this, we get to see the origin point of how Diana in this universe got the lasso nemesis, how she came into connection with her Pegasus, as well as just what she was up to prior to coming to Earth. And also at the same time, we get to learn what the ultimate fate of her mother in this universe, her adopted mother, mind you, Cersei, was. This is something that has not been answered. Like the entirety of the time that we've been following the series, Cersei has only been depicted in flashbacks, something that I think Kelly does a really good job with the series, because from the word go, Kelly has been weaving in flashbacks to kind of give you a taste of who Diana was, leading into what's going on with everything else. And really, it's kind of par for the course for a lot of the Absolute series, because these are new series with new takes on characters that we're already familiar with, but trying to show us why these characters are different. We have already seen this technically in Batman and the Superman Absolute series, and I can actually confirm that we also get, to varying degrees, this in both the Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter, and even in Absolute Green Lantern to a lesser extent. I would say, I can't say too much about Absolute Green Lantern because it hasn't released yet, but once that is out, I can talk about it in a little bit more clarity. But yeah, for the most part, flashbacks have been pretty heavy on all of these books, but I feel like Kelly uses it the best. I think Kelly actually uses flashbacks interspersed with the present day content to the most effect, probably better than anyone else right now, not just in Absolute Universe comics, but just period. And yeah, this book is fantastic. We get to see a little bit of smarminess coming out of Wonder Woman, even in the face of Hades, which I think is also something that people are probably not going to be paying attention to how much this matters, because for the most part, we have not seen Diana interact with any of the gods who expelled her from Olympus. So yeah, this is huge, and honestly just even proof positive why this book and not just a single issue, but why Absolute Wonder Woman so far is still the best of the Absolute DC titles. And I say that having read all of the stuff that's going on right now with that's out currently, and even some stuff that hasn't even been released yet. So just take my word for it. Absolute Wonder Woman, if you have not been reading it, and especially if you consider yourself a Wonder Woman fan, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is our pull box report. I don't really have a whole heap of a lot for this week's pull box report. I will say though, I think this trade might already be out, and there's actually a new segment I'm thinking about adding to this in place of the pull box report when I don't really have anything to push out there. All I'll say is just the series that I have personally been keeping up with. Definitely start keeping your eyes peeled. There's going to be a new Local Man collection that's going to be coming out very soon. Make sure you hit up your LCS about that. There's definitely going to be some new trades coming up for the Department of Truth, which is another series I'm a huge fan of. And they actually had an issue released this week. And sadly, I wanted to put it on the best comics this week, but I'm actually a little bit behind. So don't think that its omission is any indicator that it's a bad title. It actually probably would have been on this list had I been current, but there's just sometimes I'm a little bit behind on stuff. And I will also put out there that with the upcoming IDW TMNT collection that is coming up, collecting the first story arc by Jason Aaron, definitely something you want to be on the lookout for if you haven't already been checking it out. Anyway, that is the best comics this week. I hope y'all enjoyed. I've been getting some really good feedback about this, so we're going to keep doing it. So don't you worry your pretty little heads. But I'm also still trying to keep it just a little bit trim because I don't want to be too terribly long. But, you know, hey, sometimes it is what it is. When you really think about it, a lot of content we're talking about here. So I actually think for the time that, you know, we're actually knocking these out, and I think we're actually doing pretty damn good if I say so myself. But anyway, thank you all so much. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss out on videos like these. And I will see you all next time. We're out of here. Peace.